Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Would you like even more content? Here's my Patreon. Now onto the stories. Case file number 1119, written by Angstromium, the Magic Deck Mystery. I shuffled the deck of cards back into order. The thing is, I now know how it happened. Well, way back then, I was semi-obsessed with riffle shuffles. Those fancy ones where you separate the deck into two and run your thumb up each side so they interleave, and then you arch this and they all go together nicely. I wanted to get really precise with them, so I practiced a lot. One day, I bought a new deck, split it and riffle shuffled it a whole bunch of times, at least 8 I'd say. Then, I idly ran a thumb up the deck just before I put it down, and every card was back in order. Something I already knew was impossible, or at least the odds were literally astronomical, being a number on the order of stars in the sky. It killed me for years. More recently, I found out why. If you riffle shuffle two exactly, the deck is split precisely into two, and the interleave is exactly A and B, then it is no longer a true shuffle, and it is possible to sort the cards back into order in as few as 8 moves. Think of a formal dance where you change partners. If a non-random system is kept to, then eventually every person will be back with their original partner. Case notes are file 1119, the Magic Deck Mystery. So I just really love this little story, even if it's accidentally not a glitch. I've always wanted to be a magician, but after practicing for a while, I realize I'm nowhere near dexterous enough to be on a proper magician's level. Maybe if I gave it a 10,000 hours, but not really dexterous enough. And if you haven't seen it yet, check out Shin Lim on YouTube. Has to be the best sleight of hand magician I've ever seen, and I still don't understand how he does it. His Penn and Teller performance had my jaw on the floor, so definitely check it out. Bonus file written by KookachuAreum, The Curse of the Drumstick Tree. I live in South India. I still do, and this experience gives me nightmares. In India, as you may know, we're highly superstitious and religious. It was when I was 7 or 8 years old that my dad moved into a new rented home. My relatives were urging my dad to buy it, but my mom was reluctant, hence we never bought it, and I'm so grateful for that. I was a kid and I didn't know much about paranormal stuff. I faintly remember that we used to hang up a rectangular mirror in our hall, and one night, while I was passing that mirror, I saw my sister coming up behind me in the mirror. She was just 3 years old or so at the time, and I wanted to lift her up. So I turned back and was so excited to lift her when I noticed she wasn't there. So I ran back to Mom in the kitchen and asked where my sister was. She was like, "I put her to bed." I insisted that she woke up, so she took me to our bedroom since she and I use the same room, and she was sleeping as my mom told me. Later one night, I don't remember the date precisely, my dad had gone to work and it was 7 p.m. My mom was frying fish, and I was having my dinner while watching Tom and Jerry when we sensed a burning smell coming out of the bedroom. My sister was with me at the time, so Mom rushed out to see, and I followed behind. We noticed that our washing machine caught fire. We had kept our washing machine as that bathroom was huge and spacious. See, a few of you might think it's a washing machine error or some problem with the electricity. I remember my mom screaming at the brand manager of the washing machine saying that there was no electricity problem. So we got it checked too, and the servicemen told us that there was nothing wrong with the washing machine, and it anonymously caught fire. So back to the story. The machine caught fire and it blasted. We ran out of the house, and fire engines and ambulances started to pull up with a number of neighbors standing outside. Thankfully, with the grace of God, we got out safe. After a few years, since we moved to a new apartment, my mom was telling a very close neighbor about how our previous home got fired, and I was curious to listen, so I sat beside her as she told her experience. 4 or 5 days before the washing machine caught fire, my mom had bought some groceries and put it in the refrigerator. The next day, all the lemons and eggs specifically got rotten, and my mom had an ominous feeling about it, and then our house caught fire. Now, traveling back to when we recently moved into the house, my mom used to put incense sticks at the nook of the house. As you see, it wards out evil spirits and stuff. We had stairs which would take us to the rooftop, and my mom never goes up there to put incense sticks after the sun sets because one day it literally gave her the creeps while she went to place it there, and she came back running down. After we shifted, my dad used to go out of the country for business, so we were all alone. At that time, Mom would pray to God at night in the prayer room we had in our home. When she prayed, she'd hear someone walking and running on the rooftop, or sometimes a sense of feeling that someone walked or ran past the prayer room. We never felt happy in that house. We'd always find glass shatters at the backside of the home and had to call people to clear it out, and in the front of the house we used to have these drumstick trees that belonged to a neighbor of ours, and since I told you we are superstitious, 'tis said that a house isn't supposed to have drumsticks, as it's said that creatures of the dark used to reside there. This one applies to tamarind trees as well, and my mom thought that'd be a reason as well. We tried to talk about the history of the house to the owner, and the owner suspiciously tried to talk it away or change to other subjects, as if he knew. We also had a small temple adjacent to our home, which held Goddess Durga idol, which my mom says has protected us till the last minute we left the house. That Durga idol was stolen a week prior to the house fire. We lived in that house for a year or so, and Mom states that it was all the goddess who protected us and tried to warn us of that house. Now, I have heard that the house has been renovated to an apartment now. I hope people living there are alright. We never took a single belonging of ours from that house, as most of it was burnt away, including our picture frames, and we had to burn the remnants that we could collect. Still gave me creeps while writing this story. My dad told me he actually visited the house the next day after it caught fire, and he wasn't even able to enter inside as there was a strong, pungent smell left along with the burnt gas smell. So he had to ask professional people to retrieve our remnants back so we could burn it, and the walls of the house looked all black and gloomy. Case notes for the bonus file. The curse of the drumstick tree. The detail of food turning rotten, yep. As clear a sign as there can be of malevolence, of willful decay, if you ask me. There's a reason decay is used so heavily in imagery in books, in movie scenes. It's the essence of death. Maybe not even in rage exactly or anger. It's just a force of death. And it's not exactly evil, as the word is used, too. It's not, so maybe malevolence doesn't fit either. It's just more a raw force. I don't think this has to be a spirit in of itself, but more of a presence, like electromagnetism or space-time itself. The Higgs boson, whatever, they're just natural forces, without consciousness to themselves. A rapid advancement of time, not through a space-time anomaly, but pure rotted force. Looking up what a drumstick tree, by the way, is, I've never heard of it before. The images don't evoke a sense of fear in me or anything like that, so if it's home to darkness, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it would be. I wonder if the folk legend is true. How does it relate to something that doesn't look like it's evil at all? Maybe any kind of tree can play host to it. I know a lot of trees have spiders in them, so that's as close to pure evil as anything can be. Maybe it's not related to the tree itself being evil, but it's like a moth to a flame. It just attracts it for some reason. No matter the type, blue, white, orange, doesn't matter. And now time for the quote of the day. A positive attitude may not solve all your problems, but it will annoy enough people to make it worth the effort. Herm Albright. That's exactly what I'm trying to do here. Overwhelm and annoy people enough with my positivity and optimism that it's all worth it. I think it is. Hopefully it rubs off on people. We'll see. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.